What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, It Will. Back at it with another video. First things first, leave a like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed this content, you enjoyed this video, and you want to see more stuff like it.
Just do it!
Clean up my keyboard real quick. Can't hear and stuff on it. So, last week I did a video on games that I think need reboots. Not reboots, but games that needs to be brought back. And this week I decided to do a video of some of the terrible games that I've played in my lifetime. And there's not many of them. And some of them I'm reaching just a little bit in for some content, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm still gonna tell you things about the games that I didn't like. So let's get it. First game on this list, we have The Evil Within 2.
Admit it! I did not see this coming. In a million years, I did not see this coming. Yeah, man. I can't. What am I gonna say?
Don't say. You don't say.
First one, and after playing the second one, I'm not interested in playing the first one. There are a few reasons behind that. Number one, let me just get the good stuff about the game out the way real quick. It looks good for the time in which it came out. Like, I think it came out about 5 years ago, so for the time, it was one of the last gen console games. It looked pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. It was scary, and it's a scary game, so obviously that's what you want. But above that, it wasn't really much else doing it for me, and I didn't even finish the game. So I don't know if that tells you much at all, but the characters are dull. I don't know any backstory behind what's going on, which is also my fault. I can't really say too much about that, I guess, going in, not knowing the story at all. I just saw the game, wanted to play a scary game, and I hopped in with no prior knowledge, so that's possibly on me, you know. But from what I gathered during the story that I did play, it wasn't much information leading up to anything. The story was dull, the characters are dull, and also, let me say, the world, it's a pretty nice world in the game, so I'll say that. But like the storyline and stuff like that, the main character, all he says is one-liners and stuff like that. What the? If you take pieces of what I do know from the story, like his daughter's missing, stuff like that, I guess it makes sense why he would be feeling the way he do and how dull he would be. But that's a chance for him to make other characters in the world vibrant and exciting. Everything is just so like, go do this, go kill this zombie, go kill this crazy guy, stuff like that. So that's why I didn't enjoy that game. Next up, this was going to be extremely controversial, because a lot of people definitely enjoy this game, and I never understand why, but I'm about to tell you why. It's from the 2K series, you know? 2K15, to me, by far, the worst 2K of all time. Yes, I said it. Easily. I sold that game like 3 weeks into it. I did not have a good time. The quick play gameplay was crazy. It was so many glitches and stuff. I'm glad they finally started to fix that stuff, but there's definitely still ways to cheat and travel and stuff like that. And it's a video game, I understand, but it's supposed to be simulation. And that brings me back to the part in which why I hated the game. Park that year was crazy. Everybody was making these 6 demigods, and this is also my around the time where I actually started to lose my love for 2K a little bit. And then 16 and 17 brought me back up, like with those games. 16 and 17 are two of the best, 17 being my favorite and 14 being my second favorite, 16 being third of the new generation of games, because 11 is probably my favorite. But there was no park in 11 and stuff like that, so all I was playing was my career and quick games. So yeah, but it was a great game. But 15, like I said, all the demigods, all the glitches. I didn't like how dull the parks were, talking about colors and stuff. The game was dull. Like the colors they were not saturated at all. It just felt like I was looking into darkness in the park. And then the scary experience of the demigod builds, the 7 feet Wendigo looking creatures. If you played what's that game called, the scary game, on the PS4. I forgot what it's called, but they look creepy. The game, it was just not fun. And if you had those builds, I'm pretty sure you had a hell of a time, and that's why a lot of people like that game, because they was able to cheat. 2K is not supposed to be like that. I might be an old head for this. I'm not that old at all, but my feelings behind the game make me an old head, I would say, because I don't like to play the way these new kids be playing the game, the cheesing and I don't like to play 2K like that. I love 2K, but I don't play like that. I ain't gonna lie, say I don't equip some of the moves like the speed boosting and stuff like that. I definitely throw that stuff into my bag because you need it to compete with them. But like that cheesing and stuff like that, it don't do it for me, bro. 2K15 by far the worst 2K of all time. Yes, I said it. Next on the list, we have Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is the worst game in this series, hands down. So the last couple of years, besides Odyssey, what's the one with the when you were in Africa with the pyramids? Because I be getting Odyssey and Origins, not Odyssey, Origins. Origins is it. Assassin's Creed Origins. Other than Assassin's Creed Origins, the past like 4 or 5 years in Assassin's Creed have not been enjoyable ones for me. Like they need to get back into the assassin roots, in which looks like they're getting back into in the next game that'll be coming out next year, I believe. Good things coming out of the Assassin's Creed Studios. I'm excited for it. But Black Flag was where it all started to go downhill, because like pirates are not assassins, first of all. No one, secondly, wants to be riding around in pirate ships in an Assassin's Creed game, secondly. And then the world, I mean, I believe it was supposed to be like a Caribbean area you were in, so the world was pretty cool and stuff like that, but it was just way too many pirate missions for me, way too much water gameplay. But you spend way too much time in the ship. The gameplay, it wasn't that much in the game, like not much to do other than like go. It was basically like Valhalla on steroids, because there's stuff like that to do in Valhalla too, but they toned it down. They learned their lesson. Black Flag was terrible. Not a fun experience, bro. And these are all personal, obviously, because some of these games people like. If you look at the reviews, a lot of people like them. These are just personal things. Next on the list, we have probably the worst game I've ever played in my life, Control. Control was a terrible game, and I spent about $70 on this game because I bought a special edition, because it looked like a game that I enjoyed hella on the Xbox One, Quantum Break. Now, I don't know if their thoughts behind the game was supposed to be anything like Quantum Break, but it kind of was in the sense of the gameplay a little bit. It was like, I don't know if it was a post-apocalyptic world, but like it was some things going on in the world, and like you gained these powers somehow, and you were able to like change time, slow down time, do bullet time type of stuff like that. Quantum Break was by far one of my favorite games of recent years, and I also should have put that on the list of games that I feel like need to have another game come out, because Quantum Break was a great game. So with me being a huge fan of Quantum Break, I decided to give Control a try, because I felt like, me personally, again, this is a preference, I thought that the game would be similar to that. It was not. The game was extremely laggy, extremely buggy. It was also a dull game. Now, Quantum Break was a dull game too, but when you have a storyline like that, it was dope. I didn't even finish Control either. I don't know much about the story. I can't tell you that because I didn't finish it. But I did not enjoy the game when I did it. I didn't even, like, there were times where I couldn't even finish a mission. The game was lagging so bad, and it was so glitchy, I couldn't even get in past any corners. Now, maybe they updated this stuff like they did with Cyberpunk, and maybe you can go back and finish it now, but I have no interest. It turned me off. Big letdown, because I thought it was going to be rivaling Quantum Break, much like PlayStation tries to do rival Xbox, and vice versa. Next we're going to include these together. These are two Sonic games that are unlike any Sonic game that we've ever had in life. Sonic and the Black Knight and Sonic and the Secret Rings. Those 2 games I had on the Wii. Now, that was probably part of my problem playing Sonic on the Wii. I don't know how much fun you can have with playing Sonic on the Wii. When I had my Wii, I didn't try to play too many big title games and stuff like that. I stick to the Wii games. I stuck to the Wii games because, like sports and all that type of stuff, it wasn't fun on the Wii. Well, they weren't sanctioned Nintendo games. But first of all, the reason why the Black Knight was trash, why does Sonic have a sword? Sonic had a sword in both of these games, I do believe. But why does Sonic have a sword? I didn't even play. I played one mission in both of these games and I turned it off because I just couldn't get jiggy with it. Like, it wasn't Sonic. And if they were gonna, I don't know. I know I be talking about people being not excited for change, and this might sound a little hypocritical, but I feel like Sonic being such a nostalgic title, such an iconic series, you can't change that, at least without any full warning. Come on, bro. It wasn't Sonic. Sonic having a sword and slashing, and Sonic using wedding rings to gain special power, like that wasn't Sonic. And even Unleashed wasn't a typical Sonic game, but it still had elements of said typical Sonic games. And I gave Unleashed a hard time too until I really, because I didn't enjoy the werewolf missions too much. They were cool, but I definitely preferred the other missions to them. But it was still cool that they tried to do something new that wasn't that far off the mark. Now, like Sonic having a sword is just crazy to me. Next, we have another sports title, Madden 25. Now, I have 2 gripes with this game. Number 1, why did you decide to name it Madden 25? Because in 2024, what are we going to call that Madden? What are we going to call that Madden? What are we calling that Madden in 2024? What are we going to call it? Secondly, one of the glitchiest games in Madden history. One of the brokenest games in Madden history. One of the laggiest games in Madden history. One of the trashiest games in Madden history. Much like 2K15, I sold this game. Actually, I don't even think I bought this one. I think I played it at a friend's house and it was so bad and I didn't even want it. Now, crazy thing is these were both in 2014. 2K15 and Madden 25 both came out in 2014. Like, that was just a bad year for sports games. I don't know if it was the servers that they were sharing or what, but that was a bad year for sports games. It just was. Man, listen. The next one, Evolve. Super cool idea. They just missed the mark like a mug. So if you're not familiar with Evolve, it was a Monster Hunter game, co-op game with friends or whatever, or just online, where you had a team of humans, the hunters, and then you had a team of like dragon or like dinosaurs or monsters, you can call them, because there was different kinds. But it was a cool idea, but the game had no content available after. There was no story, I don't believe. I think you just jumped in and played online and stuff like that and leveled up your monsters and your guys. So much like a lot of games these days, you had your assault team, you had your like medic, and then you had other specialty players on the team. So the idea was obvious, to kill the other team. If you was a human, you was hunting the monsters. If you was a monster, you was trying to kill the humans. And it just, like I said, it wasn't much content there. They missed the mark. They had a huge opportunity to do something different. This game was one of the most hyped games in recent history because it was so different. We didn't have anything like it. And it just wasn't much there when it came out. And that is the same thing for this next game on the list, Anthem. Another super hyped game that looked beautiful. Had so much promise because they looked like mini Transformers. Like, the game and the idea was special. Like, Anthem was supposed to be so dope, but it just failed miserably because there was no content there. Dull story, if you want to call it a story. There was linear travel, but it was just like, there was just, it's even hard to say, bro. It just wasn't good, bro. It just wasn't good. Like, the content and then the story that there was. They didn't give you any lore behind the story. They just like, you just had like stuff you can collect around the world to like basically piece the storyline together, much like a Batman game, I guess you could say. But we all know what happens in Batman, and we don't care because Batman is a cool game. Batman is Batman. Can't wait for Arkham Knight's coming out this week. Gotham Knight's my fault. But them last two games just completely missed the mark. Much more than gameplay, because gameplay wise it was pretty good. They both looked great and it was fun, but you get bored of that stuff when there's no content and no real story behind it. Because after you're done playing, you just say forget about it. Like you want people to remember your game afterward and want to go back and play it. So you got to keep it fresh. And then we have, last but not least, Fallout 76. Now let me just get this out the way. I'm not a fan of pretty much any Fallout. I can't get with their games. And I tried to play the Outer Worlds too, and I just couldn't get jiggy with that either. And I know Outer Worlds got great reviews, like people were raving about it. And I did have it. I still have it. I just deleted it after like a couple of missions because I couldn't get jiggy with it. And that's the theme with all of these games on this list. I played them, I tried them, and I just couldn't finish them. And also part of the reason behind some of these is I had lost a will for gaming during different times of my life. You know, things happen, you get older and stuff like that. But Fallout 76, just why did they do what they did? Like the content, the story, like they were getting backlash for like items that they dropped, like real world items that they dropped. I think they did like gas. It was some crazy stuff that they was doing and they was getting backlash on. And the game was dark, much like all Fallouts are. Theme, like if you can tell, I'm not a fan of dark games unless it's supposed to be dark. But and if it's supposed to be dark and it's dark, it's gotta have something to pull me in and have good gameplay. And even though Fallout are great games, I feel like their gameplay isn't what make them great, because I feel like the guns don't be gunning, like they don't shoot for real and stuff. Like it's just some stuff like that. Like Fallout just never been my cup of tea, honestly. But yeah, man, so those were a list of some of the games that I thought was butt cheeks. There's a lot more that I do have and stuff like that, but it's just those all I can remember off the top of my head. So let me know games that you think suck and what type of content you want to see next.